Welcome back to Tri-City Sports Now with me, Marky Bilson. And I told you that we would be giving you more football recruiting news here. We just spoke, ETSU released the name of 2 early signings. Cam Lewis, quarterback out of a high school in Georgia. Really good stats, dual quarterback, dual threat, early signing. That's a Randy Sanders signing. What's also a Randy Sanders signing? A JUCO. His name is Kendall Wright. Went to a junior college in Mississippi you never heard of. I assume it's in Mississippi. I don't know. The player is listed as being from Mississippi. Forgive me here. Kendall Wright, good size. Didn't have a whole lot of good stats in JUCO, in junior college, but or community college as the case may be. But nevertheless, a changing of, Sanders, a quarterback guru. Jameis Winston, Peyton Manning, he brings in a dual threat guy, early signing. I want to go to ETSU. I want this up. I not only want to sign with Sanders, but I want to be there at ETSU. I might be a 4-year starter if I redshirt after Austin Herrick graduates as the senior. The only quarterback the New Bucks have really ever known as a starter. I guess there was Nick Sexton there for a while, but and then you have a JUCO. Things could be changing rather quickly. That being said, Tennessee ETSU is now going to start playing major FBS teams. Tennessee next year. They've got 2 games with Appalachian State. They've got Georgia, I think, in 2020. They've got Vanderbilt 2019 along with Appalachian State. They're going to have to get some players who have size right now. They cannot be the original Carl Torbush formula, which was bring in a bunch of freshmen, play them against Maryville, and watch them lose. That's not going to work. That's barbaric if you do it against a school from the SEC. And it doesn't matter if it's Vanderbilt or if it's Georgia. All right, Tri-City Sports Now, coming back to you. We were speaking a little bit about the quarterback that Tennessee got. And, this is a former Cal commit. And, boy, you could not go. I guess Texas A&M is a little more conservative of campus. But, to go from Berkeley to Knoxville, that is a big culture change. But you know what? That's what this quarterback from Santa Clarita, California, is going to do. His name is JT Shrout. He decommitted yesterday from California. And now, 6'3", a little skinny. He's a beanpole at 190. He signs with the Volunteers. I don't know. A lot of people are making a lot of look! UT took a player from California. I don't know. I was a little more excited when Alvin Kamara, came from Alabama than I am from California. But it should be said that California, historically, it is a good quarterback school. I mean, let's face it. I could, off the top of my head, Aaron Brooks is from there. Or excuse me, Aaron Rodgers. Listen to me, Aaron Brooks. Aaron Rodgers, Joe Kapp, Craig Morton, the first quarterback to ever take 2 teams to the Super Bowl. Yeah. They were all Golden Bears. I know that I go into football history when I'm talking about Engine Joe Kapp, but he was there are 2 quarterbacks that have taken the Minnesota Vikings to the Super Bowl. Everybody knows Fran Tarkenton. You have to watch the memorable Super Bowl IV highlight film to really know that Joe Kapp was the quarterback of the Vikings the first year that they went to the Super Bowl. I remember watching that film as a boy and saying, who is this guy? Because you'd hear announcers talk about basically, or there'd be references made to all the quarterbacks, that were in the Super Bowls when you started watching it. You knew who Starr was, you knew who Dawson was, Daryl LaMonica maybe not, but obviously you knew Namath and Unitas, those sort of guys. But who's Joe Kapp? Who is this guy? Why are they playing music from Oklahoma in the highlight film? 65 toss power trap? Anyway, but yeah, that is the big hey, we're doing things here at Tennessee signing is bringing in J.T. Shrout. I don't know. I don't think he is Adrian Martinez, who signed with Nebraska after he had verbally committed for many months with Tennessee. Michael Penix of Tampa wasn't going to come to Tennessee when Jones left. That was kind of known. Interesting is that Shrout is more of a pro-style quarterback. So I think it's safe to say that Tennessee is going to be running more of a pro-style offense. And I think that that's tremendous. I think that is just great. I mean, if you're going to produce pro players, if you're going to be the program where future professionals are going to play or want to play, I don't think you can run the option. I don't think you can get good wide receivers when they don't know where the ball is coming from, when the quarterback might be running around back there. Furthermore, I think of Josh Dobbs. Yeah, he can go 70, 80 yards for a touchdown against Missouri on the ground. He can't do that in the NFL. The defenses are just too fast. So, if you want to be a breeding ground for NFL quarterbacks, you're going to have to play a pro-style offense. You're going to have the drop-back passer. I think it's a good thing. On the other hand, I just don't think that J.T. Shrout is probably the caliber of quarterback that Adrian Martinez is. But you know what? We never, as I just spoke in Marky's monologue an hour ago, you don't know. There's no way of 3-star, 5-star walk-on. The Heisman Trophy winner is a walk-on, for crying out loud. You don't know. The intriguing thing to me are the early signings for ETSU. The early signings for Tennessee. The early signings for other schools. Gee, I don't know. But, of course, there's some question of where Cade Mays, the lineman, is going to go. That's another thing, I guess, the talk of line, we heard last year some homers came out when Trey Smith was signed with Tennessee. They got the best player in the country. The best player in the country is never going to be a lineman, okay? You can always find another tackle. The best player in the country is not going to be one of a unit of 5. The best player in the country is going to be a quarterback, a running back, or a wide receiver. It's that simple. It's not going to be a safety, maybe a corner. If he's a linebacker, he's going to be an outside linebacker. Just the way it is. I'll give you more information about recruiting and such. But there was also some news. Remember, I broke that about a week ago that general manager, whatever that is. I always thought a general manager was the guy that ran a baseball team, But general manager of LSU, Austin Thomas, he was going to come to Knoxville and he was going to turn around the recruiting department. That was a big. They just got Austin Thomas. He was a Tennessee recruit. I sort of looked at, okay, it's, I didn't really think of it as that big of a deal one way or the other. Although I did wonder if it wasn't the beginning of the end a little bit for Ed Orgeron if he's losing staff to Tennessee. But now it might not be the beginning of the end for Orgeron. I mean, first of all, he's retaining Matt Canada, the offensive coordinator, very talented offensive coordinator, who isn't going to go to Rice to be their head coach. And now Austin Thomas isn't going to leave LSU. Maybe, reports were greatly exaggerated. Here's what the report says. Thomas was going to go to Tennessee. This is his alma mater. But according to Bruce Feldman of Sports Illustrated, Thomas and the new Vols coach couldn't agree on Thomas's title and responsibilities. So that led to the deal falling through. Now the thing is, Thomas resigned from his position at LSU, so he has to get a new contract if he's going to go back there. Now, this is an interesting situation. Still could be the beginning of the end for LSU. or it could not. But Thomas, the Tennessee grad, isn't going to Tennessee. Say what you will, but the 11th choice, the 9th choice to be the head coach of Tennessee, Jeremy Pruitt, I do think that as a coordinator, everybody knows Phil Fulmer is going to be a hands-on AD to the football program, so how much control he'll have, we don't know. Can't even get this title and responsibilities down for an Austin Thomas. That's not a good sign. Just isn't a good sign. I do think that we'll learn a little bit more. The recruiting rankings will certainly go up for Tennessee. I mean, already that, just signing Shrout is going to be boosting the rankings, I'm sure. Remember, it's a rebuilding process for Tennessee. It's a big-time rebuilding process. Schedule is actually probably a little bit tougher next year than it was this year. A trip for a neutral site game against West Virginia, not Georgia Tech. Auburn, go on the road to play them. You don't have the home game with LSU. It's an old rivalry from that. That used to be big, Tennessee-Auburn. I guess it was, and it was Peyton Manning's last SEC game. So, hey, but after divisions, less so. Anyway, Thomas not coming to UT, that's a little old news, but I just wanted to say, just not a good sign. A lot of people are trying to sweep that under the rug and all this. You got to worry about this meddlesomeness. You got to worry about how it's all going to mesh together. I think Jeremy Pruitt is a good hire. I think that if Jeremy Pruitt was targeted initially by John Currie, he'd still be the athletic director, and I certainly think Jeremy Pruitt would have a lot more control than he would having the man who never wanted to leave Tennessee in the first place now in charge and now saying, I've done it this way before and it worked. I think you should listen to me. And what's Pruitt going to do? Tri-City Sports Now. The college football recruiting, we'll talk a little more about that here for the rest of the show. But college football recruiting, it reminds me a lot about, it's sort of the college football draft, if you will. But in this case, a team benefits from their wins and losses and their quality play. Why else would Tennessee have dropped so far this year, except that they went from 9-4 to 4-8. They changed head coaches. Reputation of the program. Clemson and Georgia are eating up on the on the early recruiting period. I'll tell you more about that. But what I really want to talk to and look ahead is something out of the box. If college football recruiting, the early signing day, and certainly the signing day that comes up in February, it's sort of like the NFL draft. The NFL draft, of course, if you lose, you're kind of rewarded with the best pick. In fact, you're not kind of, you are rewarded. I do say kind of because I think that, and if you've played fantasy football, you get down to some of those lower rounds, and it comes to the 6th round or something, you're probably going to be able to get the player that you want. You start targeting needs, you start targeting different, scouting abilities, this sort of thing. Of course, it has to be done that way because in pro football, it is important for just the benefit of the entire league to keep all the teams as competitive as they possibly can be. Cleveland Browns haven't really taken advantage of it, but the Patriots and the Steelers have. By the way, that topic, that I guess the trainer of Tom Brady is not going to be allowed on the sideline with New England Patriots, and Bill Belichick evidently doesn't like Brady's sidekick right there. You know what? This is a shade to me when I hear about this of the way that Bill Belichick treated Bernie Kosar back in Cleveland a generation ago, because that killed Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick was a pariah in Cleveland after he did that. It didn't matter that he coached the Browns to an 11-5 record and a playoff victory the next season. It didn't matter that Vinny Testaverde kind of turned the Browns around. No, the hometown boy had been released and disgraced when the fans thought he still had football left in him. When the fans still thought he was a top 5 quarterback. And even if he wasn't, the perception killed the franchise now, didn't it? You run off Tom Brady over something like that, you run the risk of doing that all over again. I realize that, Belichick is far into the second half of his coaching career, but if I'm a Patriots fan, you want a clean progression. You don't want old coach saying my way or the highway to the real face of the franchise and the real reason you've won those 5 Super Bowls, because it's always about the players more than it is the strategy or the coach. Trust me on that. I mean, Phil Fulmer, 1997, is winning with Peyton Manning. Phil Fulmer without Peyton Manning is losing in 2008. There's a difference. I mean, when you have the difference between queens and pawns. Anyway, I just wonder, and if I'm a Patriots fan, that makes me very nervous. Now, Robert Kraft is not Art Modell. I don't think the Patriots are about ready to up and move. They almost moved to Hartford once, but I don't think that's going to happen. But at the same time, look what has happened. I mean, the Browns came back, but look how they lost. It's historic how bad the Browns are. I'm not saying the Patriots will duplicate that, but Patriot fans, I'm sure, are worried about what will happen when Tom Brady leaves. If I'm a Patriots fan, I'm worried that day may come sooner than later now, and I'm also worried about what the future would hold with a coach perhaps then looking to be on his way out. He did it once before. It wasn't successful. Despite that playoff berth, the Browns faded the very next year to 5-11. Again, and I'll tell you what, I think that it would take only one 5-11 season in the future for Bill Belichick to ride off into the sunset, and then you have a totally unknown future for the New England Patriots. When we come back, though, as I said, college football, this is their draft day. What does the mock draft of the NFL look like? I'll talk about that and more when we come back on Tri-City Sports Now.
Crabtree Buick GMC. It means trust.